Ciao, I'm Mary Ann Esposito. Today on Ciao Italia, we are making cavolfiore here at La Scuola Culinaria with some friends of mine, and you're invited. And that's all there is to it. I mean, cooking doesn't have to be complicated. Add the cream. So about a half a cup of heavy cream goes in here. You did a great job, Mary Ellen.
Thank you, Mary.
Over the base of the pan, it's a little rumba action.
I've got a relatively clean hand to work with.
I always say you have to keep that hand clean so you can answer the phone.
There you go.
Yeah. Ciao! You did both so well. You did really, really well. That was beautiful. I think you should keep that.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, absolutely. So, when you buy a cauliflower, you want to make sure that it doesn't have any of those little brown spots that you sometimes see. I'm not saying that you can't use it, but it's better to pass that one by and get something else. If you have to use it, well then, cut off those little brown spots. So now you have this whole head of cauliflower. What are you going to do with it? Well, the Italians love to use this mixed with pasta. But what we're going to do today is make a cauliflower and potato casserole. But let me show you how to cut the cauliflower first of all. Because you know what happens. If you try to just cut it from here, everything spreads around. Now you have all these little bits and pieces of cauliflower over the kitchen, and it's messy. Instead of doing that, turn it over. You can take off these leaves. These leaves, if they're very, very fresh, you can use in soup. So you don't want to get rid of that. But we're not making soup today. So you want to take those leaves off. I'm just going to put those over to the side. Then with a really good knife, you want to go around that core. Okay? Just go around that core, and what happens is the florets just fall off like that. See how easy that was? Then you want to take these florets and you want to cut them up into small pieces. So they're like this, because you're going to cook these with potatoes. So we're going to do a combination cauliflower and potato casserole. And guess what? This is great for kids who hate cauliflower, because if you mix it with the potatoes, they're never going to know. So you want about 8 cups of the cauliflower florets cut into small pieces, and you need about 2 cups of potatoes. And for this, I like to use a Yukon Gold. That really is my favorite potato. So when you have that, then you have a big pot of boiling water, and we're ready to boil these together. All right, now, the next thing we have to do is get our pan ready. So you want to start with a 9 by 12, like a Pyrex glass pan is perfect for this, because actually what you're doing here is you're going to make 2 layers of the cauliflower. So get your butter, soft, and then just spread it in the pan. Now, if you don't want to use butter, you could use extra virgin olive oil. But I think that the butter gives this a much richer tasting dish. So just spread it around. It's almost like making a lasagna, really. And once you have your butter in, and by the way, did you know that in Italy, all butter is unsalted? Yes, because that's fresher butter. All right, and even go up the sides a little bit, just in case the cauliflower sticks. All right, that's good. Then we need breadcrumbs. And I mean really good breadcrumbs. So the way to have good breadcrumbs is to make your own. And everybody has stale bread, right? So you get it hard, then you smash it with your rolling pin or a bottle, and then you have them. Put them in the freezer or in a bag in the refrigerator. So we want to lay down a nice bed of fresh, unseasoned breadcrumbs. These have been toasted. And then the next thing we want to do is put this in the refrigerator, because we want to get this cold. So do this first. Do this first when you're going to make the recipe. So there's a nice bed, and you can already see that those crumbs aren't going anywhere. They're really stuck to the butter. But now we're going to put this in the refrigerator. Let's take a look at this now. And the way to know is to just stick your fork in there. If it's starting to fall apart, you know that it's ready, and it is. So I'm going to turn off that heat. And here's my trusty spider. I love this tool because you can do so much with it. Instead of lifting that pot or taking that hot insert out, just use one of these. You can find them in any cook shop. So I'm just taking this out and putting it in a big bowl because we're going to have to mash this now. So remember, this is the combination of the cauliflower, about 8 cups, and 2 cups of diced Yukon Gold potatoes. Okay, and what do you do with this water? You save that and you use it for your next vegetable soup. Okay, so we have that, and now it's time to mash. There we are. So now we have to mash this. I'm going to give this a little bit of olive oil, just a smidge, a little extra virgin olive oil, and use my trusty masher. Why am I not using a food processor? Because I don't want glue. I want something that's going to have some texture. So get yourself a hand masher. Sometimes the old tools are the best, you know what I mean? So you want to mash this down. It doesn't have to be super smooth, just so that you have everything combined. And that was the reason for cutting everything so small, so that you could easily mash with your masher. And this is a recipe that really is a traditional recipe from Italy, especially southern Italy, because the southern Italians just love cavolfiore, and they do it in so many different ways. They fry it with a batter, they combine it with pasta, they put it in salads, they put it with anchovy. It's just one of those vegetables that they really, really love. All right, so you see I've got some texture in there, and now we can stop that, and we have to season this. So we're going to start with a couple eggs. And that's really hot, so I'm going to wait for a few minutes. Let's start with the parsley. So here we have flat leaf Italian parsley. I'm going to add some to that. So flat leaf Italian, if you don't know what that is, this is flat leaf Italian parsley. It's a flat leaf, not the curly leaf. The curly leaf doesn't have a lot of flavor, and it's good for, if you want to garnish a plate, but if you really are interested in the flavor, you want to have flat leaf parsley. And I have a lot of this in my garden, and what I do with it when I have a lot of it is I take bunches of it and I mince it up with a knife, and then I put it in small little bags, put it in the freezer, and then I can use it in soups and stews and that kind of thing. So then besides that, we want some grated Parmigiano-Reggiano. We all know what that is. Cow's milk cheese from the region of Emilia-Romagna. So you want to give that some Parmigiano-Reggiano, about a half a cup. With the parsley, you want about a quarter of a cup. So there's some Parmigiano. We're going to use Parmigiano again later. We want some pepper. So I like coarse black pepper, so pepper. Now there are variations on this. I mentioned earlier anchovies. So if you wanted to add anchovy to this, you could. If you wanted to add minced capicola, salumi, some other type of cured meat, you could do that. Ham, you could do that. A little bit of sale, because we did do salt in the water, so we don't want to over salt it. And then we've got the cheese that has salt. And now we can add these eggs. So we want 2 eggs. This often reminds me, like making a meatloaf, because we're using some of those same types of ingredients. So we have the 2 eggs, and then we need to mix this. So we want to mix this all around so it's well combined. So this is what I'm telling you about having those breadcrumbs chilled. Otherwise, we'd be getting all the breadcrumbs mixed into the cauliflower mixture. That's okay. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but I kind of like it like this. So you make a layer with your spatula, and you can see that there is some texture left in here after I'd mashed this. And then we're going to put some cheese with this, but not only Parmigiano-Reggiano again. We're going to add some provolone cheese to this. All right. So there's a nice layer. And then here is our provolone cheese. This is a cow's milk cheese. It's what's called a pasta filata cheese. So it's made similar to mozzarella, where the curds are broken off and then they're formed, and you've often seen this hanging on a string. So there is a mild provolone, which is again cow's milk cheese, or there is a sharper, known as a picante. It's a sharper tasting. So what we're going to do is we're just going to overlap these layers of the provolone. Now, at one time, provolone used to only be made in southern Italy, but now most of this provolone is coming from northern Italy, from the Val Padano, around the Po River Valley. So we've added a layer, and now we're going to add one more layer. So you're beginning to see that this is going to be very cheesy. So it's up to you if you want to use the mild version of provolone or if you want to use the picante. So there is our last layer of the provolone. It's looking good, right? Okay, now we can add the rest of the cauliflower over the top. And this is why you need 8 cups of the florets so that you have enough to cover the pan. And you could use a smaller pan if you wanted to, but then I would cut the recipe down. But I think this size pan is just perfect for this casserole. This is great too for, someone who's not a meat eater. When you think about it, this has your vegetable, it has your calcium in here with the cheese. I mean, you're good to go. So you don't have to eat meat all the time. You could do this wonderful cauliflower casserole. Get it into the corners, spread it out, and get all of that. Hello. Just get it all in there. Okay. Now I'm going to give this a little extra virgin olive oil over the top. Well, that looks good. If you wanted to, you could use some oregano with this as well. So now we want a little bit of the extra virgin olive oil. Your oven is on at 350, preheated. There go those breadcrumbs again. Over the top evenly. And then a little bit more of the Parmigiano-Reggiano. This is great for a party, if you were going to have a party or you're having a buffet, because this will serve at least 10 people. This is very, very rich, and you only really need a small amount of it. And you can either scoop it from the pan or you can slice it. It's even better made the day before, and then you can just reheat it. So now the Parmigiano-Reggiano goes on top. Okay, a little bit more of the olive oil. And it's ready for the oven. 350. It's going to take about 35, 40 minutes, depending on what your oven is like. And when it comes out, it's going to be nice and crusty. You're going to love it. So we're going to make cauliflower salad. And here is my good friend, Lisa Apollyon, who I cannot get rid of. This girl loves to cook. Thank you for joining me and helping me. So do you like cauliflower?
I do.
Okay.
I love cauliflower.
So we made a casserole. That was our warm dish. Now we're going to make a cool dish. This is something that's great like for summertime. So we want to make a good dressing, but the thing that makes this dish really good is the tuna. It's not the cauliflower. Cauliflower plays a secondary role. So you're going to want to start with some really good tuna in olive oil, Italian tuna in olive oil. So we have our 3-ounce cans here, and we're going to put it in this bowl. Just kind of, flake it up a little bit. Don't make it too flaky. Just like that is good enough. And we want the oil, because that is going to be flavor. That's great flavor in the dish.
Do you always buy tuna with olive oil?
I do, yes. And I use it for a lot of things, you know. Actually, it's good just on an antipasto, just like this, you know, with a piece of grilled bread or something. It's really good.
Delicious.
So because it's in olive oil, we've got to be careful when we make the dressing. So this is our tuna, and then we did more cauliflower. If you remember, we boiled the first one for the casserole with the potatoes. But this one we steamed so that it's very tender. You can just get, there's still some bite to it. You don't want it mushy because this is going to be a salad. So we have our cauliflower, we have our tuna, and we're going to set that aside until we make the dressing. So why don't you bring that bowl over? Okay. Now, for the dressing, we want some extra virgin olive oil. So put some in there, and while you got it in there, you want to go like this, okay? I mean, you want to go like this.
Oh, I want to
yeah,
go
you
like
want to
this.
go like that, okay? So you want to go like that, and I'm going to give you some salt.
How much olive oil?
A piacere, just a little bit more, because remember, we've got that tuna with olive oil. So maybe like a quarter of a teaspoon of salt. Right now, we can always go back and flavor it later. A little pepper. I always say, like, 3 turns of the pepper mill. We're going to add some sweet red onion because it's got a milder flavor. If you didn't want to use this, you could use like a spring onion if you wanted to. So about a quarter of a cup. So you really want to get an emulsion going. So get that arm going, really good, yeah. And we have here, this is always good with cauliflower, tomatoes and olive oil. Looks good, huh?
That looks delicious.
So we're going to put those in, all of them. And either you can buy tomatoes and olive oil, a good brand, or if you go on the Ciao Italia website, you can learn how to make your own dried tomatoes in olive oil. I've showed that to you several times. So that's looking really good. It looks like we need a little bit more oil. And with this, we want to have, this is from my friend Donazia's garden. This is one of those herbs, oregano, and I'm sure in Armenian cooking they use a lot of this, right?
We use that a lot.
You use a lot of oregano. The thing with this herb, why this is important, is this is one of the few herbs that Italians use dried. Every other herb is used fresh. There's something about oregano when it's dried. It just seems to have a better flavor. Just smell it. And when you take some of these, let's take some off, and just take those leaves, okay? And you rub them in your hands. You can you smell that? You can just smell it. The oils are right there. But you can't do that with parsley or with rosemary because when they're dried, they're really useless. So, because all their oils are gone. I don't know what it is about oregano, but oregano is that herb that you want to use dried. So now we have that. We bring this back, and we want to add some chickpeas. So this is a legume that's as old as the hills. Italians have been eating this for centuries. Lots of countries have been eating this for centuries, and it really is the mainstay of a lot of diets. And it used to be considered a poor food, but it's used in a lot of different recipes in Italy, and chickpeas by themselves are just nutty and delicious, full of protein, but they're also delicious in this salad. So we have a cup of our chickpeas. So if you were a non-meat eater or you like just vegetables, this is the perfect dish for you, right?
Yeah.
Because you've got your protein, you've got your vegetables, we've got our extra virgin olive oil. And then we want that tuna. So here we have that beautiful tuna. This is so easy. So you put all of that in. It's a great summer dish because it's nice and cool. And we're going to mix that around now. And our dressing is going to flavor this beautifully. Let's get it all mixed. This is going to serve at least 6 to 8 people. Okay, now we can add the dressing. Get all the dressing in. Spatula here. Doesn't that look good?
It looks amazing.
And it's so easy, but that's what I'm saying. If you use quality ingredients, you really don't have to think too hard about what will go together. So if you wanted to add capers to this, you could do that too. All right, so give that a good mix. Beautiful colors. And then we need a little bit of lemon in that. So some lemon juice. I'm not even going to bother to take the pits out. Just going to use my hands. And
Could
give
you
it...
use the zest of the lemon?
You
too,
could,
if
yes,
wanted?
absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, now give that another toss.
It smells so fresh.
And we should really taste that, don't you think? Don't you think we deserve a
I
taste?
do think so.
Okay. All right, get it mixed well. Okay. All right, so there's a clean spoon for you.
All right.
There's one for me. Let's try to get a little bit of everything. So you got a little bit of the tuna, got a
I have to get a chickpea.
chickpea, got,
It's delicious.
pardon my finger.
Oh, it's amazing. It's perfect for summer. It's so fresh.
It doesn't need anything else.
Nope, it's perfect.
That's perfect. Okay. I'm not, excuse me for talking, with my mouth full, is the way that you make this beautiful cauliflower, tuna, and chickpea salad. You're the best.
You are the best.
Lisa, didn't we do good today?
We did.
Because we used cauliflower.
Who knew it could do so many different things?
You got it. And we started here with this great casserole. Remember, we took the potatoes and the cauliflower. We boiled it. Then we mashed it. Then we added eggs and seasoning and cheese, a layer of cheese. Then we put another layer of cauliflower and potato on top, baked it with breadcrumb and cheese, and look at it.
It looks amazing.
It's a wonderful dish. You've got to try it.
Yes, for
and
sure.
Then,
Oh, this amazing salad. It is so fresh. We put the cauliflower, we only parboiled it. We used chickpeas, gives us our protein with tuna, cooked with oil. And we added our tomatoes with our olive oil and little sprigs of oregano, little bit of our lemon juice, and voila.
she needs her own cooking show. Thank you so much, Lisa, and all of you for coming. I hope you learned something. And until I see you nella cucina again, I'm Mary Ann Esposito.
I'm Lisa Opovian.
Ciao! You did both
No, I don't think I
well. You did really, really well. That was beautiful. I think you should keep that.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, absolutely. Here you have a compact picture of Liguria. You've got the sea, you've got the cliffs, you've got people living at the edge. This is what living at the edge means. If you look up there and you see how crowded and how compact this town is, and look at the spectacular view that they have. And then around that are all of these terraced cliffs with got olives, you've got grapes, you've got palm trees, pine trees. This is like heaven.